Red light. You need some more batteries? No.
Council, make sure your microphones are on, please.
Do I got it?
Okay, it's 4 o'clock. We're going to bring the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everybody for being here. Thanks for coming on such a beautiful Beach Mountain day. I'd also like to welcome anybody who's watching us on TV. Hi there, and thanks for watching us. Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Wendell moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
So,
Second. Is there any discussion?
yes. In reference to the consent agenda, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question about,
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Once we come down through all this and we get to the consent agenda,
Okay.
then we'll go over that.
very good.
Okay? Okay?
Well, Mayor, if he wants to pull it off, though.
No, we're gonna keep it in.
Oh, okay, all right.
Do I hear a motion to oh, we got the motion.
We got
All in
it.
favor of
Second.
the adoption of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. We did not have a closed session today, so we'll skip to the invocation. Mr. Holloman.
Very wonderful, right here. Lord, we come before you today humble, and Lord, we ask that you remember Pete Chamberlain as one after passing away, and just give him strength and family strength, and I know there's been outpouring support for the family. You know their needs, and just continue to be with them and uplift that family. Lord, we also ask that you remember Angela Green. She was coming today to speak with us from Lee, and her mother passed away as well, and just remember that family. We ask that you remember all the employees here on Beach Mountain, also bless the council employees as we go into budget season. We'll start talking about the budget next week. And we ask all your blessings upon the travelers and people coming back to the mountain. We appreciate and look forward to the springtime that is sprung, and everybody's very excited about that. And we just thank you, Lord, for all your blessings, and we ask that you touch those employees who have health items and health issues, and we hope that all the colds and crud from the winter go away. And we ask for all these blessings and trust in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I would like to take this time, Tim in his invocation mentioned Pete and Shirley Chamberlain. For those that didn't know, Shirley passed away Friday evening. Her funeral will be held at Hamptons in Boone on Friday. There's a visitation at 2 p.m. and the funeral will be at 3 p.m. If you'd like to come, please do. We're all there to support Pete and through this tough time that he and the family are going through. So thank you very much. Do we have anybody on public comments?
Yeah, raspberry.
I just want to say, Pete Chamberlain said, please don't.
Don't bring food. That's right. Thanks, Harriet. Okay, Therese, please give your name and your address so that our clerk Tamara may be able to get that.
I'm Therese Barry, 100 Squirrel. It was great he said that about the crud, huh? I can hardly understand me. Bear with me. I'm here to just talk briefly about the museum, which is right next door to Fred's. We are here to promote Beech Mountain and the area and give everybody information about the history and culture of the area. Thank you to the town and the TDA for supporting us. We are volunteers only. The museum is supported by volunteers and by donations, and staffed by volunteers and donations. If any of you have not been there recently, we have a new room, so it's twice as big as it was. We took over some of Jim Brooks' space. He was kind enough to let us do that, so we have new things. If anybody is interested in supporting the museum, we have it, but no dues. Supporting in terms of your time and your ideas. Pat has some handouts that she's going to give out, and we have a sign-up sheet out in the lobby for anyone who might be interested in joining us. We would be very happy to have you. Thank you.
Thanks, Therese. Okay, we have a consent agenda. We've got the adoption of the minutes for closed session minutes February 11th, 2019, and closed session minutes March 12th, and regular meeting minutes for March 12th. We have the general record schedule for local government agencies and the USDA budget amendments, number 8 and number 9 for water utilities, sanitation department budget amendment number 2019-10, and number 2019-11 budget amendment for dam repairs. Widener, did you have a question?
I do. I have several questions.
Okay, can I hear a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, second? Somebody?
Second.
Carl? Discussion.
Okay, on 7-1, it's got, goes the adoption of the minutes of the closed session minutes, and then on page 7 of 129, when it says that town council in the next regular meeting then was voted by council to increase the width of the road.
Right.
I remember saying, Wendell made a comment 2 council meetings ago about we had made a decision to increase the road from 10 feet to 25 feet. And I made a comment last council meeting that I don't recall that discussion. And the only time that I knew of it was when I saw the engineering plans at the last council meeting. So my question is, and I apologize if we voted on it and I don't recall it, but it said we voted on it. And when was this?
Which meeting minutes is that from? Let me look real quick.
I don't ever recall voting on it.
Okay, that was from the March meeting minutes.
Yeah, it was from March.
Okay,
Did we vote on it?
we did not vote on it in March.
I don't think we actually
That
voted
is a
on it.
mistake, I think, in the minutes. We voted on it prior to that, when it was presented.
I don't think we ever voted on it.
I know it's been discussed, and I don't remember if it was in a meeting or not.
It could have been
I'm
the
in town
budget.
hall almost every day.
I believe we approved it when we approved the contract.
When Riley reviewed the plans, and it was clear that going to the double made more sense for the long-term plans. I succinctly recall that conversation.
Yeah.
And
When it
then we
occurred.
voted to proceed afterwards, whether it was a specific change, I don't know, but that was the spirit of what we were voting on, was to go forward with the plans as presented by the special project director.
Well, it was discussed, and I recall the conversation, but it just says it was voted on, and I wanted to know when it was voted on.
when we accepted the
I
contract.
believe when we accepted the contract, we voted on the width of the,
We voted to accept the
Okay.
contract based on the 24 foot.
So just for the record, could I, after the meeting or whenever it's
We can make a
convenient,
change.
may I get when we voted on it? Is that possible?
well, I don't think it was a separate vote.
It wasn't a separate vote to
It was a vote
accept
part
the
of the
change. I think
contract.
the minutes are probably not reflective of what we're doing on it. We didn't vote to increase the width, we voted to
Accept the
accept the
contract.
contract, which included the
Which
24-foot
included the
width.
width.
So that's,
So the minutes are
The
incorrect.
minutes are incorrect, yes.
Okay.
And we'll make a change in that, Tamara, and we'll have to reword that differently. Okay,
Is that second paragraph there?
we'll make the change where the, let's see, there's two-way traffic approach. That needs to come out because we did not vote specifically to increase the width.
Okay, so this is the correction, right here.
Right.
Sorry, yes, yes. But when the vote happened, I'm not correcting that.
Right, because
Okay,
the
thank you.
vote included
Excellent.
everything
Yes.
that was part of the contract. Okay, so then do I hear, with the change that we'll be making in those minutes, is there any other discussion?
I've got a question on item 7.5.
Okay,
It's in reference to the $391,000 that is being spent on the dam repair.
right.
Have there been any, I mean, that's a lot of money, and I don't want to just rubber stamp this. Has there been any second quotes or any other viable options that
I want
was
to ask
per-
Robert to come and tell me why.
That was
explain
presented.
Why there's not but one quote.
There's one quote, because there's 3 companies that will do this. 2 will not quote it, this one will, the Defiance one who did the original dive. We have one other option to fix it, and that's drain the lake.
Ooh,
And that'll take another 16 days to fix it, and then it'll take another, who knows how long to fill it.
okay,
Uh,
that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
That's, if that's the only other option, like I said, I
yeah,
don't
this
want
is
to
the
rubber
only way we
stamp
can
it
do
without
and
asking.
Keep the level up,
Okay.
and the other guys don't want to touch it.
So another question that pertains to this is that, is there any preventative maintenance that could have been done to this to have, in time, to have reduced that cost?
The failure is from the concrete blocks which were put into the dam bank to hold the shaft in. They rotated out.
Is there a preventative maintenance program that's required by the,
Corps of Engineers.
Probably the
Corps of Engineers? Thank you.
It doesn't go through the Corps.
It
It's
doesn't?
through dam safety.
Is there a
Uh,
preventative, a
they
PM
inspect
schedule
it
that
all
you have
the
to
time.
follow?
The only thing they wanted to make sure is that those gates work and they are tested regularly, which we did up until we had the failure.
The gates were tested on a regular basis?
Yeah,
Was that on an
twice a year.
annual basis?
Twice a year.
Okay.
And-
Is that documented?
Somewhere down there. Dam safety had, the deal with that one was, we had an issue with it about 4 years ago. And that's when Rock asked us to bring the divers in. Once Corps wanted it done, we brought the divers in to see what we had to do. We've already done some maintenance on it. We've had to change the actuators and stuff out about 4 years ago. And without diving it every year, we wouldn't have. What we've talked to the final about is once we get this project done, we do dives in our tanks every year anyway, and go ahead and let them come once a year and do it, and set up as a yearly deal. So we at least get some inspections and let them know what's down there.
So that gate is tested twice a year and it is documented.
Somewhere, I don't
I mean,
know.
that's a
Well, the deal is when we
pretty
changed
important
plans-
element of the
If we
dam.
changed plants, we gave everything dam safety wanted to them, and then everything else is destroyed. All the old maintenance records from the old plant,
Even from a year ago?
it wasn't tested a year ago. I've not opened it in a year.
I thought you said it was tested twice a
It's
year.
supposed to be tested twice a year. We didn't open it last year, that's why we're having it inspected. We were afraid we couldn't.
And what about the year before that?
Those would have been done after, that would have been in the water plant stuff. So I don't know if they're still down there or not.
So, and not arguing the point, but aren't you supposed to keep records? I mean, that's a key element of the dam. Aren't you supposed to keep records on that?
3 years.
Okay. So 2 years ago, what,
would've been the last one that I had, if I still had it. Once we moved, all that stuff got misconglomerated. So I don't know, if there's somewhere there may be, I don't know.
I'm curious what it may look like, so if you have an opportunity, I'd like to see
I'll see if I
the
can
inspection from 2 years ago.
But no, I think me and you're looking at two things. If I have any records, it's gonna be the records for dam safety comes in specs. The records on the operations would be noted on a workday sheet. So I will see if I can find those. There's no inspection to that. It's not been inspected since it's been put in that I know of, until we went down in November.
All right, I'm
And that's
confused.
paying for all
So,
towns. We're not doing anything.
I'm not doing anything any different than anybody else, but, you know, we actuated the dam because we have to actually change the levels for the strength. But as far as inspecting, it's not been inspected as far as I know,
since it was installed,
not that I know of.
is that not a key element of the dam?
Yeah, I've been looking for somebody to dive it for 10 years.
So, I mean, hindsight, should somebody have looked at it previously?
Probably. But the only way we were gonna do it was drain the lake,
Or find divers?
find divers. Took me 9 years to find them that would actually come to do it.
Okay,
For some reason, most of them don't want to dive municipal impoundments, and I don't know why.
Water's cold.
Could be.
that's what wetsuits are for.
Talk about the dam. When we do the repair, how much water are we gonna lose out of it?
The only thing we should lose is once we put it all back together and we actuate it, which will be, it takes about 15 minutes to run this 3-inch shaft out and back. So hopefully not a whole lot. We'll lose some. We're guessing about 5-6 foot.
Really?
If everything works well, yeah. We're still debating on, once we put it all together, will we open it all the way? And we're gonna look and see what weather looks like for that.
Have we picked a date yet to start working on it?
If y'all approve this, I will call them tomorrow and we're gonna try, the goal is to try to have it done by May 10th. But they still have to fab the technical, what I call the train track. This thing's gonna go in it looks like a train track, and they come in sections. And they have to fab all that. It's out 304 stainless. It's I forgot how many feet, 128 feet, 132 feet. And they'll set it in sections and mount it, and then it will all be attached to both ends of the existing valve basin and where the actuator is.
Okay.
So after this work is performed, who does the preventative maintenance on it? Will the dive team go down and check it once or twice a year?
They'll check it once a year. It will actuate, once we get this done, we will go back under Army Corps permit, and it will actuate probably every day, open and close at some point. The maintenance will have to come through the dive crews. That's the only thing you can do, because everything's underwater.
As far as maintenance too, when they dive and look at it, they may look, but may not be the work required.
Yeah.
And so then they'll just not look at it, no work required, and come back next
And
year,
we'll run
look
it
at
out.
it.
So you said if we approve this, it doesn't sound like we have an option. Either we repair it or we let it sit idle.
Well, you don't even have. you don't
We're not
even
gonna, can't
have
leave it
that
sit
option.
idle, we're gonna go in the.
Can't leave that set idle. In the summertime, y'all be yelling because you don't have any water.
So
There's
there
still
is
water
no
on it.
option.
There's always an option, but this is the best one I have for you, that I found, to get it done in a hurry.
The gate has to be fixed regardless to start
Yeah.
complying with our permit.
And doing it in the rainy season allows it to flow.
And I mean, like I said, the only other choice you have is to take the lake down and do it that way. I don't know what.
That's not an option.
It wouldn't be good.
Now, if they can't meet that May 10th or no later May 15th deadline, then we'll reschedule for the fall. If that doesn't work, we'll reschedule for April, but they still have to manufacture everything. But we did ask them, we don't want to push in Memorial Day weekend.
No,
How
that would be
about
bad.
Thanksgiving?
It is what it is.
So when did you say this was, when they're gonna do this?
We want to be out by the 10th or 15th.
May the 10th?
Yeah, once they get their fab schedule, we'll know what it is.
The actual date has not been scheduled for installation.
No, they've got to fab it up. And then haul it up here. But they still have stuff down there. They're actually ready to do that. They have their equipment up here now. So, we pass it, we do it. If not, they'll come get the equipment and we'll figure something else out.
Okay.
Any more questions? There's been a motion and a second. We've discussed.
I'm sorry, on 7.4, I thought we were done. This is strictly overtime hours, this budget amendment to sanitation?
Correct.
Okay.
Anything else, council? We have a motion, we have a second, we've had discussion. All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. All against, say nay. Motion carries. We have new business. We're going to talk about the state of our utilities for 2019, and Robert Heaton is going to give us a little presentation on that and show
Actually,
us
I
the
wasn't.
good news.
I was going to make Daniel do it.
I saw that.
But he had to go, they're actually him and Ronnie in the Bell School this week. So they're in Hickory. So I get to be, which one does what?
If you want to advance to the right, go back to the left.
So I get to fill in for Daniel. As you can tell, Daniel wrote most of this with me helping him because it's his wording and mine's different. I talk like I'm from here. They asked us to do a little bit on what's been going on. And the citizens are always asking, and we try to get stuff out when we can, and I forget. And forget to send stuff out, and nobody gets updated. So this is a little bit of update on what we've done the last few years. Fairly simple, fairly short. If I can keep my mouth shut, we'll be doing good. So I'm gonna go back to 2009. That's when we started utilities. Changed all around and started that. That year, council had set up a committee of Ernst and Riley and somebody else to look at rates. And we started looking at rates that year. And we brought in North Carolina Rural Water to look at what's called unaccounted for water. And that is stuff that you're making water, but you're not billing it. So you don't know where it's at. It could be lost, could be, who knows. So we had them do it. Our water loss at that time was 85%. I gave that number to council that year, and I have heard that number ever since. No matter what. I hate that number. In a good way, it was a good thing for us. It made us wake up and look and start seeing where we had problems. We knew we had issues with the system. We've known that for years. But we actually started a systematic way to start looking at it. And as Daniel states, they went through and started doing an analysis. And we started looking for ways to make it better. Moving on to 2010, we brought Aaron Rothrock in as an engineer. He sat down and we got together and started looking for things we could do. And he started working on what ended up being his water sewer study, which is still online on the website if you ever want to look at it. And it's still, I use it still today. But the first things we started doing, we looked at leak detection. We got a grant for water sewer study, and we changed some altitude out. This presentation goes over more than water loss. It's some of the things we've done in the water side those last 10 years, plus throwing in the water study with it. If you look on here, you see 2010, doing some accounting changes, looking at what they kept up with, what they didn't keep up with, and then plugging the numbers in. We got it down to 68. One of the big things that we found during this time was that if you had a water leak and we gave you a write-off for your water leak, we wrote it off, took your bill back, did the adjustment. Nobody kept up with that number of gallons that we wrote off. It goes back to the county part. So that's what helped bring that number down such a big chunk all at once. Because we did quite a few, not as many as we used to do. We used to do some pretty large water deals because we were reading meters every 3 months. And you go from January to March and you have a leak, that can be a big number. 2011, we did some Band-Aids on the plant, which we had, that was one of the problems that Rock had. The old plant was actually rusted around the bottom and we were very afraid of failure, so we put a Band-Aid around it. We bought some hydrant flushers and we started the meter installation stuff, getting ready for it. The hydrant flushers issued to another, or worked on another issue, which was water age. During this time, I did a study with, we'd taken the model, water system model we previously had, we took it to one of the engineers in Greensboro who does this thing for a living. He actually studies water age. And we modeled the system for how old the water is. If you go back in those old studies, which are on the website, you'll see like how old your water is and what section you are based on tank age. Part of that deal was the hydrant flushers. Instead of buying hydrant flushers, Rock, myself, Matthew, sat down at the shop and made one. So we have 8 of those. If you ever see a black Cobalt toolbox on a fire hydrant with a handle and a Cobalt decal on it, that's one of our hydrant flushers. And they'll let water run out in the weird times. So we made them and put those in to help with the water age. We went on to 2012. It actually changed some more accounting, and I don't know if that number's real or not. I thought it was at the time, and it probably still is. It's just, we went back to reading monthly as we installed the meters, and when we installed the first 300 meters, the numbers came down a lot. And then we went back up, which goes back into accounting. But 2012, we did the residential meter installation, started reading weekly, did some backwash basin stuff at the plant. 2013, we started doing some hydrant upgrades, pumps at the water treatment plant, started installing some generators for backup power. And that number remains fairly consistent. And as you can tell, I'm not doing Daniel stuff, I just talk for a while. But 14, 15, 16, 17 is real interesting. We're starting to look at water plant again and some water line fixes. We really looked at pumps and controls because we were having some issues controlling pumps, backwater, then backflow and back through them. So we started working on those. We did Parkway, handling system, and the slopes first. 15, we did some PRVs on Greenbrier, some more generators, and then did surge valves. Surge valves are interesting creatures. What they are is to keep from blowing pipes out of the ground. When that pump cuts off, there's a valve that will open and let that little bump out. So you don't get a thing called water hammer. About 1993, we had a water hammer incident at Asheville Pump Station. These pumps are 9-stage pumps. They are 11 foot long. Right? We blew one out the ceiling at Asheville Pump Station. That was a fun day. We finally got the old plant back on and got back running like 4 days later, but it was, we barely had water. So we really tried to keep those on. One of the faults to surge valve is it will pop open on its own cord due to atmospheric pressure, weather, and so we replaced those to try to get some more control over them because that was a point of water loss. So we're down to 47. We stay in this general area pretty much up until last year. If you look for 16, we did the VFDs, which are controls on the plants that actually bring them up online slow and shut them down slow, protects the pumps. We did some leak repairs, and we started the Spruce Hollow line. Everybody remembers Spruce Hollow line because I had the Parkway dug up right before 4th of July. That's another day I was loved up here. But we got it open before everybody got here. 17, we actually finished that line. That line went from Spruce Hollow tank out at the end of Spruce Hollow, back over the Parkway. It's about 17,000 feet of 10-inch duct line. We put all the valves, all the hydrants. This particular line between those two tanks feeds about 80 feet on the mountain. Before we were feeding off 1 6-inch. So it really helped us move water on the mountain and be able to deal with that section because that 80% is pretty much Charter Hills, Lake Road, everything in the middle where most of the houses are. And it's also the main transmission back up here to fill the rest of it. We finished that project early and under budget. So we come out well on it. And one of the things that line helped is we changed a bunch of service lines out as we were running along it. And that was always been one of our largest problems for losing water. We take those galvanized lines out, put in new plastic, high pressure line, and it makes a big difference in that. 17, we started water plant. Everybody knows about that project. It turned out very well. Took longer than we wanted to do it. Yeah. But what we've got from the new water plant is the ability to treat a whole lot better than we ever did. And we can treat under circumstances. We were talking about the dam. When we went through our incident in Thanksgiving, by about Friday afternoon, we closed the valve as much as we could for about lunchtime on Thanksgiving Day. by Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, we were making water. The engineers were actually here with us. They came in on their time to say, because they didn't think we could treat the muddy water that was in there with the system, because it was not designed to do that. But in about 2 hours, we had it up and running. We were actually putting water back into the system. I had got the water come up, he stayed all night with us, and we worked that thing all night chemically to keep it working. And like I said, the system is called DAF, it's dissolved air flotation. The reason we use it is because the water is so clean, we take the real fine stuff that we can't get out of the clear water and actually bring it to the surface. It's not made to float heavy stuff. Well, we've got all this heavy stuff in the lake, and we're back online, and about 1 o'clock Saturday morning, we had everything coming out the pool. And we're testing it so we could get out the pool water. So that thing worked out much better than ever I thought it would. And I think it's going to be an asset for a long time to come. And it's a simple process, and I think it'll do as well. 2017, we also started the CIP modeling, which I think we started that earlier. 17 was with McGill. Before that, it was with West. That's actually taking all the utility stuff, putting it on a piece of paper, and well, actually it's several pieces of paper, and model it out for 10 years. What do we need? What do we need to do? How can we fund it? What's it going to cost to fund all these different projects? Plus the operation maintenance, salaries, insurance, you know. That's been a great help to us from that side of the plan for down the road. As you can tell, those water loss numbers 55, 47, 55, 52, they stay pretty calm. We changed residential water meters in 11 and 12. We knew we had a lot of loss there. We also knew we had one bigger thing, which was what we call 2-inch meters. They're listed as commercial. They're more somewhat commercial, but most of them are condos, multi-unit facilities, stuff like that. We changed those last year. We actually found a meter that was a sonic read meter, which has no moving parts. It actually reads the velocity of the water going through it. The old 2-inch meters that we took out read in 100 or 200 gallon increments. It would not turn until it got to 200 gallons or 100 gallons. These things will read down to 10. We finished that. No problem. There's 28 of those things out there. We lack one, and we'll be doing it this summer. It's a bigger size, so we actually have to wait to get it. On a little pyramid there, we're replacing pumps at Asheville and Mill Pond. That project will be finished this probably for June. Those are the major pump systems that bring the water up the mountain. PRV at Lake Ledge, PRVs are in the ground. They've been in for about a year. I'm going to start tearing up the road next week and actually get the traffic lane back before we can access them. So that'd be about a week project. And that last one's commercial meter reads. 2017, the data that we sent to local government, or to the North Carolina Department of Public Water Supply local water response plan, was 52%. We plugged the numbers into their model, it calculates the numbers. We plugged the numbers in this year, and that's the number we just sent to the state April 1st, which is 31%. The meters are a big deal. Mainly because it's not so much that we lost this water, it's we were not accounting for it. When you go from reading at 10 gallons a minute to 200 gallons a minute, a good thing, I'll pick on yours. Sorry.
That's okay. I was gonna say
Renee was the
something.
very first one we put a meter on.
At Holiday Beach
Fields.
Villas.
Because we were putting the new line in, and we ran the line, hers was the first one. She got to be the guinea pig.
Our bill on a monthly basis was around $6,800. Now it's close to $7,200. Thank you very much.
Sorry. But
But it's a good thing.
you know, what it is you get in a building that's big as theirs, and you're on a meter read 200, you flush the toilet, it's not going to be popped. You're reading 10, 15 gallons a minute, it's going to catch you. So it's the accounting thing. More of the water loss, or unaccounted for water is the correct term. I mean, I just had this conversation at the parking lot, is accounting. Everybody says you got all these leaky pipes, all this stuff, it's rotting, it's falling. It's not, it's accounting. It's where is the water going and can I make sure it's there? Yeah, we have leaks. Everybody has leaks. And I sat in my office with Tim a month ago and told him we would never reach 30% while I'm here. Because I didn't think we would do it like we got this project done and the next water project done. We ran these numbers a week later. or even that evening. Yeah. If we can stay in this area consistently, that is a great thing.
Is there an average of municipalities?
No,
Well, 20%.
EPA wants it 20% or less.
But you're never gonna achieve that here, for two reasons. One, your water pressure's too high, and two, you've still got your main lines that are joined in a fashion that's always gonna cause leaks.
The mechanical leak is completely forever. And mainly the mechanical leak is because of pressure. We are looking at process, look at that project too. That's another sideline I've got going.
If you go to these water classes, they'll tell you that even a brand-new system has 10% loss.
Yeah.
Even a
It's
brand-new.
because it's mechanical joints. You know, just like the cup when it's old, it's gonna leak. EPA wants 20. Region 4 tries to mandate it, they can't. They're all over the world. There comes a point in this deal, 30-to-1, we hit most of the low-hanging fruit early on. Like Charlotte's looking at now. Charlotte's is around 23. To get it to 15 is what they want to do. They have stepped back away from that because it's a cost gain ratio. Is it worth $40 million to get a knock a point off? Will the ratepayers stand? So, we're at a good point. If we can keep it there consistently, I'll be happy with it. But we have done a lot. We set in these areas for time and we just work as it goes. So that's the good news we thought we'd give everybody, and Tim asked us to do a little bit of update. I know y'all can't see it, I can't see that. I don't know, it may be on the website, or if not,
It will be on the
they'll put it
website.
on there. These are a list of projects we've done in the last 10 years. Some are little, some are big, some are in between. There's a list on there now that was from 2010, 2015, it's part of this, we've added to it. There's some projects on here that are coming. The water line to Center Park Charter Hills, the wastewater upgrade on the sewer lines at Charter Hills. I forgot what else I'm doing. But, it just gives you an idea of what's going on. And there has been a lot of stuff that we do has been behind the scenes. There's a telemetry project going on now to upgrade the wastewater SCADA because the software we can't get licensed for it anymore, so we had to redo it, and then to go to fiber, we did off the phone lines. That's just one radio, so fiber. So I'd save us some money getting off those fiber lines. Those fiber lines are about, for us, they're $100 a pop. So it's just
Tim, on that page, if you could get rid of that blue background, when you put it on the website, people will be able to read it better.
Okay, we can. It probably
Because you
should
got
have
blue
been
on
the website.
blue.
Yeah.
But there's a lot on there. But it's a lot of stuff we've done that's been going on, and this gives everybody a chance to look at it. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to come see us. We'll explain it to you as best we can. So, I think that's about my show. Thank you for your support. We continue to seek and implement the most effective, efficient measures for furtherance of our Town Beach Mountain Comprehensive goals. He told me I had to read that.
Well, we really appreciate it.
Y'all know I don't talk like that, but thank you.
Be sure and tell him you did read it.
I am. I'll make him watch it. He'll watch that quite on his phone. But thank you all for the support. Thank the community for support, the council. Rick Miller's been here a long time. First been here a long time. They put up with me and my crazy stuff. But thank you. Without that support, knowing that we could come in here and ask and be open with y'all, we couldn't got where we are today. And in the future, it's going to take the same cooperation, and I appreciate it.
It's a big thank you to you, your departments in the past, the councils in the past, the people who helped out when we needed it. And I mean, that's a great goal that you guys have achieved, and you should be very proud of yourselves.
We just hope we keep it up.
That's yours.
Thanks, Robert. I will have to say one thing. Daniel, when he called me up one morning telling me about this, I was excited, and I got excited too. And it's like Santa Claus had come to town, and he said, "I can't get anybody excited about my 31%." I said, "Well, we'll get people excited about
It is,
31%."
it's great news, it really is.
If you want the rest of the story, the Grinch comes and said, if you can repeat it, I'll get excited.
Ernst probably didn't believe it.
Ours just heard about it.
Thank you,
Am I
sir.
good?
Yes, you are, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to talk about employee health insurance. We have Rob Shepard from the North Carolina League of Municipalities who's going to explain things, but Tim, did you want to?
Just to give a little bit of update on this, the town has had a health insurance plan for some time. Tucker is a third-party administrator. Last year, we did RFPs, and we had a very small committee, the finance officer, the then Human Resources Department, and myself. We did, the plan saved money, but the network was not as well filled out as we were told. We had problems when we went to reference-based pricing. And so this year, we began looking at insurance again back in November. We actually got a representative from each department to come and start reviewing things. We talked about what they wanted in an insurance plan. They wanted it reliable. They wanted it to work on time, be able to understand it, and basically, be consistent. There was some desire to kind of look at the league first before we looked at other companies. So that's primarily what the committee looked at. Ansha Green came last week. I mentioned her earlier. Her mother passed away unexpectedly yesterday, and so she's not here today. And Rob filled in. I've known Rob for quite a while, and his dad as well. So anyway, they looked at the 700 plan. That gave us co-pays, and Rob's going to actually go in a few minutes and go over the more details about that very briefly. Tamara and myself looked at two other third-party providers. One proposed a high deductible, but the plan appeared to have too high risk, and we're trying to actually eliminate some of the risk that the self-funded plans propose. We did have another company. Pardon? I thought something. We did have another company to propose a similar plan. Now it was almost $700,000 a year, which is $207,000 more than the current proposal from the league. So that was not really something we wanted to pursue. We did have another third party who provided multiple plans, and they had a health savings component. It was about $535,000 approximately. It was very good. Tamara and I had a good feeling about this company as far as what they had gone through to provide us different options. That could be promising in the future if other prices go up. Our current TPA just sent renewals, and there are very few options and very costly as well. So the main thing today, like I said, we're not necessarily expecting to vote today. We'll probably have it on the agenda April 17th when we have our budget document. We do try to have open enrollments in June and get ready for the new fiscal year. The health committee seemed very pleased with it last week when we talked to everyone. The MedCost is the insurance care provider. They have a large network in our area and Tennessee. So this time I'll just turn it over to Rob, and he's going to give a brief detail of health insurance and then take questions, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I hate that it's under the circumstances it is, with Angela Green being the member services rep and her mother passing away unexpectedly last night. She'd been ill for some time, so it wasn't totally unexpected. So I got the phone call this morning, and I've been scrambling, trying to pull together information. I don't have the history that Angela does with your group. So forgive me if I don't know some of the background, but I am knowledgeable about the plan, about MedCost, who is our third-party administrator, and so I'll try to cover the basics with you. If you do have some detailed questions, I'll do my best to answer those, and I won't pretend to answer anything that I can't, so I'll bring back any answers that you all may have that I can't answer tonight. But we're very happy to be able to provide this proposal to you. At the League, we consider ourselves, within our risk management program, as well as the whole League, as an extension of your staff. That's how we deliver our customer service, our member services to our members. And so we see ourselves as one of your staff members. So we would actually, your insurance would be with the League of Municipalities. We contract with MedCost, who's based in Winston-Salem, has an extensive network, not only in North Carolina, but in Tennessee and Virginia. And then they have nationwide networks as well as international networks if any of your staff should be traveling outside of the country. One of the added benefits, I don't know what you're currently getting as far as your services, but we will provide the COBRA and the HIPAA services. So that's one thing that's taken off your HR staff's desk. So as employees may terminate or dependents terminate, We're taking care of that paperwork and all the legalities surrounding that. We also have, through our relationship with MedCost, a suite of enhanced benefits that we'll provide to your employees and covered dependents. And I'll touch on those towards the end of the presentation, and I'll leave Tim with some more specific information about that if you want to read up on it, learn a little bit more. The program does have a full health management program, so there's nurses that work at MedCost to follow the claims as they go to a chronic condition. They're there meeting with the employees, engaging with the employees, making their dependents, making certain they understand what they need to do to take charge of their lives and their health. And then, of course, when you have more serious type of claims, there are case managers who are nurses that are assigned, that work at MedCost, who follow these cases, interact with the doctors, interact with your covered employees and dependents to make certain that they're getting the care that they need. One thing that may be an added benefit to you all, since you all have more than 50 employees, we consider you all a large plan. And you're going to get quarterly detailed reports that we will send to Tim or anyone he designates, which will go over your claims information once a quarter. It'll let you know what are your cost drivers. So then that way you can look at structuring health or wellness programs for your staff that will address your highest claims.
Don't worry about it.
One other added benefit that we have is we provide each of our groups what's called a wellness grant. So Tim or your staff can apply. We'll have 2 application processes a year, and you can apply for monies to help fund your wellness programs. And one of the things that we like to see groups do is looking at your claims information, what claims are driving your cost, what type of programming can you put in place to help address those claims and incentivize employees to hopefully reduce those claims.
What do you see those wellness grants? How do cities apply those?
We'll see anywhere from nutrition counseling on site, bringing a dietitian on site to do talk about meal preparation or healthy eating. Some towns have developed walking programs, like a competition. We've even, in some cases, and of course, these are all reviewed and decided upon on a case-by-case basis. But one example is one town wanted to incentivize walking, getting people moving. So they were able to use the wellness grant to purchase Fitbits, so that employees could capture, how active they are, how many steps they're making, and make it into a competition, and then encourage lifelong habits. So those are a few examples. And then, of course, you'll have our member services staff as well as some staff from MedCost who are able to come up and meet with Tim and members of your staff on an as-needed basis to address any issues or concerns that you all may have. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn to, and I think this may be in your packet, so I'm going to start on page 3 of, I guess they're numbered,
Yeah,
page 3 of the...
It's page 58 in your agenda.
Right. So as Tim mentioned, this is the Med 700 health plan that they are recommending. So the 700, what that refers to is what the individual deductible is. So you'll see on that page there, the individual deductible is $700. That's in network or out of network. The family deductible is $1,400. There is a co-insurance piece, so there are co-pays for just your general office visits, or going to a specialist. We'll get into that in a little bit later. But when there's hospitalization, things like that will trigger co-insurance. So an employee or a dependent must meet the deductible, and then they'll be covered at 80%. So the co-insurance maximum is $1,800 for individual, $3,600 for family, and that's in network. And then the out-of-pocket maximum, and that's the most that an employee will pay out of their pocket in any given year, and that's $2,500 for individual and $5,000 for family. It's a little bit more for out-of-network, and again, that's to incentivize folks to stay inside the network, where we have the negotiated discounts.
So Rob, looking at the out-of-pocket, is there any exposure with the, or liability to the employee of any additional expenses?
Once they hit the out-of-pocket maximum, that would be it. So I'll give you an example. So you may have an employee who goes, maybe they have several procedures, they may hit the individual out-of-pocket maximum of $2,500, but they may have a covered dependent. They haven't reached that $5,000 family out-of-pocket maximum, so they will still have to, the individual has met that, but for the other people in the family, it's covered. They'll have to get to that 5,000.
Just want to say something. There's no balance billing on this like there is with reference-based pricing.
Right, yeah. So the way this works is, employee will go to the doctor. If it's a copay situation, they'll pay the copay. If there's co-insurance involved, sometimes there's coordination with the provider and with MedCost. They'll estimate what the costs are, and then they may pay if they would like. Sometimes there is billing afterwards, so let all the claims go through and let MedCost appropriately price those, and then there'll be an final invoice from the provider going to the employee, just saying this is what the final outcome is. And of course, if there's any concerns or, about that not being right, of course, Angela, our staff, plus MedCost staff, will always review any claims just to make certain it was processed correctly. As a matter of fact, I had a situation like that with my son, had some sinus surgery, and there was some billing, and I looked at it, so this isn't quite right. So just making some phone calls, they did a review, and it was taken care of. Okay? Yeah, so I wasn't familiar with the term that Tim had told me earlier with the reference-based pricing. We do not do that. It's all the pricing with all the providers has been negotiated in advance. Okay. So hospitalization, once the deductible is met, then hospitalization is at 80%. If it's out of network, it's 60%. You'll see at the bottom of the page there, emergency room treatment, there is a $350 copay if you go to the emergency room. It is waived if you're admitted. Again, but if you're admitted, you have to pay deductible and co-insurance. The reason we put that in place is because we have seen an abuse of the ERs, and it's something that's going on nationwide. So we really try to educate employees, and when we come up to do your open enrollment meeting, we will hit on that, is to discourage people going to the ER unless it's absolutely necessary. Go to an immediate care. We'll talk about telemedicine in a minute. That's something that's offered through this program. So trying to get folks to go to the primary care physician, go before it becomes a problem.
So what about urgent care? How does that apply?
So, right. So there is a copay for urgent care, and it's on another page.
I think it's on page 4.
$40.
Okay, great. Yeah, there it is. Thank you. You need to be up here talking about it.
No.
Yeah, so $40. And there's also an issue is that more and more hospitals are building. I don't know if it's that way here, but in my neck of the woods where I live in the Triad area, in the Winston-Salem, Greensboro area, hospitals are building standalone ERs. They look like an urgent care or an immediate care, but you walk in that door, that deductible or that big copay is going to hit. You have no idea, but it's a detached ER. So, again, we're just having to educate employees, make them aware of how do you detect the differences, know before you go, basically.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It talks about the urgent care and a primary care and an urgent care and a specialist.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that.
Okay, so primary care visit, those are your family medicine, internal medicine providers. You go
So
to,
I have a cold and I go to urgent care.
you go to urgent care, all right? So in urgent care, then you're going to pay the $40 copay.
So that's under the specialist.
Right,
Okay.
right. Yeah, and usually a specialist too is anyone that has an ologist after them, a urologist, a cardiologist. Those are usually
Proctologist.
yeah, proctologist. Everyone's favorite. Yeah, so if they have an ologist after them, or an allergist, those are going to be specialists, and that's where your higher copay is going to apply, okay? All right, so flipping on to the other side to page 5, one thing that we have stressed, we harp on is wellness. So wellness visits are covered 100%. You go for your annual wellness exam, physical, that is covered. Children, if they're covered, children have to go more frequently, get more shots, things like that. As long as it's within the standard of care, there is no copay for those types of visits. As long as it's considered routine wellness preventive services. So those are covered 100%. And it may be elsewhere in here, but while I'm on the topic of wellness, I think this is a good time to mention this. So we believe in wellness so much that we create an incentive program. We're going to spend a year educating your employees about wellness and the importance of wellness. After that year, they're going to have a requirement that if they are within the age frequency to get, for women, to get pap smears, to get mammograms, they're going to be required to get them per the established schedule, which is done by the American College of Physicians. And then everybody, once they reach the age of 50, is going to have to go get a colonoscopy. Okay, so which no one loves to get, including me, but they are life-saving. We've had too many examples within our own health plan where it has saved people's lives by detecting it early. So, if someone does not, and this only applies to employees and covered spouses, they have to get these wellness exams based on the age frequency. If they don't get it, there will be at the end, and they're going to get plenty of warnings. We're going to, about halfway through the year, they're going to get a postcard, and it will say, it looks like you haven't had your wellness exam and you qualify for it. If you have any questions or if this doesn't apply to you, contact us. And then a little bit later in the year, they're going to get another one saying, hey, our records are showing you haven't had this done yet. Please schedule it if you haven't, or if you've had it done, let us know. And then at the end of the year, it's too late. They've had their warning. What we're going to do is we're going to send a list to Tim, and then so there will be a 10% insurance premium penalty will be assessed to that employee for non-compliance. And that will begin in July. So we'll send it at the end of the calendar year because that's just how the claims are tracked. But then at the next renewal, that's where that 10% penalty will kick in. We're not asking the town to pay for it because that was the employee's decision not to comply. I know it sounds unpopular, and we've got a few folks across the state who just refuse to go and have the wellness screenings done, and they just would rather pay that 10% penalty. It sounds harsh, but we believe in it, and we've got the records to show that it saves people's lives.
Are there any prerequisites or anything with pre-existing?
No, sir. No prerequisites. So none of those apply. Okay, so flipping over to the next page, on page 6, if you have any folks who are diabetics, they are available to get nutritional counseling, and that is covered 100%. So that tends to be one of the prevailing diagnoses amongst municipal employees. So there are probably folks on your staff who are diabetic and could benefit from this. This goes into other services that are covered, like advanced imaging. Your deductible must be met. It's 80%. It gets into allergy services, and I don't want to bog you all with a lot of information here. One thing I do want to point out at the bottom of my page 6, it says CAM program. This was something that we just began the year we're in now. This past July we started doing this. At the time we had a person on staff who was a firm believer in alternative medicine or complementary medicine. And believes in yoga therapy, acupuncture, you name it, massage therapy. So the program is kind of loosely written for this first year, but after a year or several months of experience, we're going to tighten up the rules a little bit around it. So beginning July 1, it is covered at a maximum of $2,500 per year, so it's covered 100%. So your employees can go to a licensed massage therapist, have that covered, or an acupuncturist. There's some other Chinese medicine that I can't pronounce that is also covered. We'll give you a listing of all these things, but again, they have to be a licensed North Carolina provider of that type of service.
Does it require referral?
Does not require referral.
Really?
I mean, we encourage your employees to work with their primary care physicians, and certainly if primary care physicians feel like this complementary medicine could benefit them, then certainly they can direct them there, but it's also self-directing if the employee or dependent wants to go and have that done. Now, there is a caveat. Unfortunately, there isn't a network of these types of individuals. MedCost does not have, you can't go into their directory and find, massage therapists or acupuncturists. So, so there's no way to file the claim electronically or to have that provider file the claim. So the employee or the covered dependent will need to pay for that out of their own pocket. We'll provide Tim and staff with the proper paperwork that they can file for that reimbursement manually.
What initiated this,
The CAM program?
yeah,
Well, like I said, we had a senior staff member that practiced many of these things and saw the personal benefit and had been reading a lot in some of the medical journals that were showing some promise that the alternative medicine, could complement the traditional medicine. And so he wanted to provide that outlet, if you will, for those people who wanted to try that benefit.
have you found it to be beneficial? Or is the
We're
program
still evaluating.
still in its infant stage?
Pardon me?
Still in its infant stage?
Yes, so we're not even through our first year.
You did reference North Carolina license. A lot
Yes.
of our employees are in Tennessee.
So that may be something I need to get back with you.
Well, not a lot of insurance companies offer this
Oh, no,
anyway.
But you had
so-
mentioned earlier that you had a lot.
True. Let me check on that, but I would imagine the same thing would apply. It would have to be a provider that's licensed by the state that they practice in.
Now, you
And,
mentioned $2,000?
$2,500.
Here it says 1,000.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna change July 1, from
July, yeah.
2,500 to
Yeah.
1,000.
Mhm.
They did experiment with it some, and they were finding people were really using it, and so I think, well,
It says benefits,
I think
It's highlighted in brown or.
it's brown. It's not my, it's
Oh,
1,000.
okay, you've got it.
Yeah, it says 1,000, but he said 25.
Okay, because
Yeah.
someone sent me a different copy, so,
The 1,000 is the correct one.
all right.
Because when Angela was here last week, I had an old copy that said 2,500.
Okay,
and
thank you for catching that.
So 1,000's right.
1,000 is right.
So right now, it's 2,500. So
Oh, so
it's,
it's going down.
so it's going with that. Thank you for catching it, Tim, because this was what was sent to me this morning. So you can flip over to page 7, and you can see there's acupuncture, biofeedback, energy medicine.
You skipped that one to pronounce.
I couldn't pronounce it. So you're on to me.
It's Ayurvedic.
Ayurvedic.
There you go. And so I can't pronounce that one that starts with, is it Qigong? So it's a Chinese form of moving meditation.
Qui-Gon, I think.
Qigong? Okay, so,
Reiki is covered?
yeah, okay. Yeah, so those are the things. So there's more information about that. You can go to that WebMD website.
Okay.
But also talks about the notice about having to submit a paper claim. You'll see at the bottom of that page, it talks about colonoscopies. I've already covered that. That's part of the wellness component. We also cover, and I'm not going to go into all the details unless you see something you want me to stop on, but we cover dialysis, durable medical equipment, hearing aids, home health care, hospice care. Flipping over to the next page, we cover infertility diagnostic service, of course, your lab and x-ray work. There in the middle of that page, of my page 9, it gets into the mammogram, the frequency of those tests, how often folks need to go. And then it gets into medical supplies, and then maternity care obviously is covered. I will mention there, if you do have any employees or dependents that are of childbearing years, we have what's called a Smart Start program. So if the mother will enroll within the first trimester at the completion of the program, they'll get a $150 check. That's to incentivize them to stay engaged with the case nurse that's assigned to them, make certain they're getting the medical attention they need.
Prenatal checks.
Prenatal checks, vitamins, all that stuff. And it's someone they can call on if they have questions, they develop a relationship with. If they don't enroll until the second trimester, they'll get a $75 check at the completion of the program. Okay? On my page 10, on the next, you'll see mental health and substance abuse. And this is something that we feel strongly about as well. We have waived any copays associated with mental health and substance abuse. We want people to get help when they need it, and there not to be any financial barriers. So, of course, hopefully they're working with their primary care physician or other medical people so they can get referred to the right place. But should that occur, should they have the need to seek mental health or substance abuse assistance, that there is no copays associated with that. And then it just covers a wide variety of things. Bottom of page 11, I mentioned earlier about telemedicine. So one of the programs we have through MedCost is Teladoc. So when your employees are enrolled in our program, they're automatically, well, they're not automatically, there's a step they'll need to take. We ask them once they get their medical card from MedCost, they're also going to get a packet from Teladoc. Go ahead and register with Teladoc right then and there. Go ahead, because like with any doctor, you got to provide your medical history. And you're going to be, more than likely, you're going to use Teladoc if you know you don't have to go through all the medical history stuff. You can just pick up the phone or pick up your smartphone, hit the app, and you can Skype with a medical doctor. That is provided at no cost to your employees, their covered dependents. They can either do the traditional way, pick up the phone, they're going to talk to a doctor that's board certified in the state from which they're calling. There are certain things that those doctors are able to diagnose and they're able to treat or able to write prescriptions for. Certain things such, an employee may be looking for some pain medication. Obviously, they're not going to prescribe pain medication without a doctor seeing that person face to face. So wonderful benefit. I've used it numerous times myself. It's just so much easier just to pick up the phone, especially if it's something that you may deal with on a frequent basis. Like I'm a constant sinus infection type person, and I can feel it coming on, and there's no need for me to truck off to the urgent care, sit in a waiting room where I might be exposed to flu. And the wait time, the average wait time is about 7 to 8 minutes. For Teladoc.
I mean, the convenience of being able to do it on your phone. This is becoming a real popular program.
It really is. It really is. And especially if you have children. My college-age child, his roommate came down with the flu. He called me the next day, says, I think I'm coming down with the flu. I said, you get your butt to our house right now. And so he drove while he was able to, and as soon as he got in the door, we called Teladoc, and he had a Tamiflu prescription within an hour. And then 2 days later, he was back to school. And children get earaches, sore throats, and usually when does it happen? In the middle of the night or on the weekend.
The
holiday, and you can just, pick up the phone, call the doctor. Now, the other beautiful thing about this is, if you should have any employees that for whatever reason don't cover their dependents, or maybe you have a family member that's staying with them or comes in for a long extended stay, for $45 copay, they also can be seen through Teladoc. So it's an excellent advantage to our program is that if there's a non-covered dependent, at least if they have a sickness or illness that comes up, they can get medical care through Teladoc. Now, it's not to replace, children going to the doctor on a normal, frequent basis and getting all the shots that they need, but if they get sick, it's a wonderful benefit. Let's see, I think we've covered just about everything. Yeah, I mean, it just gets into all the other types of things that are covered. On page 14, there is a prescription drug benefit included. So it used to be, you'll see there's a retail pharmacy and mail order. There used to be a real savings on the mail order, but there just isn't anymore. That has eroded away. But there is the ability to use mail order if the employee so chooses. But for generic, it's a $5 copay. Preferred brands, $30 copay. For non-preferred brands, it's a $50 copay. And then for specialty pharmacy, those are usually injectables, a lot of this new.
Well, no, on that subject, will our HR person have a list of those drugs?
Yes.
Of what categories they fit into?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Should be on the website.
Yes.
It's on the website.
It would be.
It will be on the website. We use Optum RX as our pharmacy benefit manager. And so usually about twice a year, they send out their covered, their preferred, non-preferred, and all that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we will generally do when we do an open enrollment is we'll make an announcement to the employees, hey, are you taking anything you think might fall on that non-preferred or specialty list? If so, stay behind. We'll help them look it up. And if need be, we can make a call into MedCost to make certain that there's a smooth transition. We can work with them. We do that in just about every case that we do an open enrollment.
So the specialty medication that you have to do through mail order?
Yeah, we use a company called Briova for the specialty meds because we have found that we've got the better discounts through them. We can also control where that's done. A lot of doctors like to do those in a certain setting, and sometimes it's necessary, and if so, we'll do it that way. But if it's not, if it can be done in a cheaper place, cheaper setting, we will work with the employee, the dependent, to get it done there and at a cheaper cost. We'll work with them.
So there's a $75 copay on that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that is the plan in a nutshell. What I want to do, and I'll hand these to Tim, and if he wants to pass them out, or if you want to pick them up from him later, however you want to do it, that's fine. All your employees will be able to, once they get their card, they can use their phone, their computer, their tablet, whatever electronic device, and they can create their own account with MedCost. So that way their card will be electronically there, so they pull it up on their phone. If they forget it or a spouse doesn't have it, they're taking one of the covered children, you can just pull it up on your phone. You can also track all your claims information. And you can also access a lot more other information that's available through MedCost. One of the programs that we offer, this is a benefit through MedCost, it's called Naturally Slim. It's a weight management program. I actually was one of the guinea pigs. You probably can't tell it now because I've eaten too many carrots being a guinea pig. I've let a few more pounds creep on than I care to over the winter, but we do an enrollment twice a year. I think it's April and then September. We'll send cards out to every one of your employees, letting them know enrollment period is coming up. If you participate in this program, it's covered 100%. If you were to go online, look up Naturally Slim, it costs about $400 per employee. It's totally online. It basically teaches you or reteaches you everything that you've learned before but you've forgotten about how to eat, when to eat, encouraging exercise and movement. It's like a 10 to 12 week program, and I lost 40 pounds in that 10 to 12 week period. So if I can do it, most other people can do it.
So you were honest for 10 to 12 weeks.
I was. Just let it creep on. A pound or two a month, but after about 10 months, it all creeps on. It will add up. But through MedCost, we also have, this is called Trestle Tree. It says smoking cessation, but it's also tobacco cessation. So if someone dips, chews, smokes, and they want to stop, or I guess even vaping now, if they want to truly stop, this signs them up, no cost to the covered employee or dependents, and it signs them up with a life coach. and there is no specific endpoint. The life coach is available to them as long as they need him until they can quit, and they can make that lifestyle change.
The general problem that is occurring in the country, not just here in North Carolina, is the opiate problem. Does the insurance company monitor, I know don't share it, they can't share with, let's say, Tim, you've got an employee that's got a problem, you need to talk to him. That's not gonna happen. But do you monitor it and get in touch with the employee to discuss the situations?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Of course, the state law has gotten tougher on that because they can only prescribe so many pills or so many weeks of the opioids.
Yeah.
And, but of course, it doesn't stop people from shopping doctors and going around to multiple doctors.
Yeah.
But if they're filing it through MedCost,
Yeah.
I mean, that's gonna get captured.
So it would stand out.
Our pharmacy benefit manager, yeah, they're gonna see that, because I mean, for stuff that I take on a regular basis, if I'm 2 days early in getting it filled, they're telling me I can't get it filled.
I had that problem myself not long ago.
Yeah, so the
Opioids?
No, it wasn't opioids.
My
But
name
it
is
was
Rob.
just a general prescription.
Yeah,
It was a statin. And
yeah.
I've lost some
I'm
pills.
in that club.
Yeah.
Keep it to yourself.
Yeah, so one of the other neat things too, and I mentioned earlier about the mental health and substance abuse. So one of the other added benefits that MedCost has available is it's called Behavioral Health Solutions, and I'll pass that along. You can download this app. Go to their website, it'll tell about the program. I think it even mentions the app in there. You can download the app. And a lot of times when people are dealing with mental health issues, a lot of times they don't want to admit you have an issue. So through this app, you can go in, you can assess your mental health. You can also look at other resources, and it will suggest to you when you need to seek help. So it's a impersonal way, that you can get information or see if you need help. A lot of times we don't want to admit that we need help. And then the last thing I'll share with you, through MedCost, they have a program to encourage people to stay healthy. So they've worked out a program with a national partner to make discounted health club memberships available. And I did look, because I was curious if there were many health clubs available up here. And there is one in Boone, and for the life of me, I forgot it and I didn't write it down. But there is a health club in Boone that participates in this program, and for $25 per employee per month, they can join that health club. And I know there are some other health clubs that may offer other discounts or specialties.
What about YMCA?
YMCA in certain areas, like I was surprised, as I mentioned, I live in the Winston-Salem area. The YMCA Greater Northwest, I think North Carolina, whatever the sort of the umbrella organization is a participant. So if the Y up here is a part of that network, there's a good chance that
It would be.
the discount applies there.
They can go to the rec center,
Yeah, they got a free
Yeah.
membership.
Yeah, so, it also allows if folks travel, you can look at where that network is and, wherever you may be going and you can utilize or access those health clubs there. So that in a nutshell is what I have to share with you. Yes,
Another
ma'am?
question, this is female specific. There are three-dimensional mammograms now that a lot of women have to get, and it seems like insurance companies are not covering them because they're calling them experimental. Do you know anything about if that would be covered under this or not?
Good question. I don't know if that's covered. But
Can we find out?
Yes, ma'am. I'd be happy to ask that question, and I'll let Tim know so he can get that to you. But for the 3D mammographies. Any other questions? We would love to have you guys on board, love to cover your employees and dependents and be a partner with you and the general wellness of your employees and their dependents. And Like I said earlier, we truly see this as a partnership. We want to work with you. And, Tim had mentioned a lot of the different plans that they've looked at. Well, being a group of your size, we can basically provide you with any plan that you want. We can design it any way. And that's the great partnership we have with MedCost. They're a true TPA, and we can just walk to them and say, we want this plan. They'll put it in their system, and we can provide it. We've not been able to do that before we joined MedCost. So just let us know.
If you want to tweak the plan, what's the grace period?
Well, obviously, so our plan years begin July 1. There are some folks that may be outside of that, but what we do is we work with them to get them transitioned to a July 1 period.
I mean, once you're enrolled in the plan and you want to tweak it, what's the grace period?
Actually, for a group your size, there really isn't a grace period.
So
If you decide you want to change, you've got the ability to change it. But of course, we'll work with you and help you communicate that to your employees. We want to be your partner and helping you think through that and what you're trying to accomplish. Does it make sense? Is there another way to address it? But basically, there isn't any type of grace period. Obviously, it makes better sense to make those changes before a renewal, before July 1. So really, I would suggest, just from a practicality standpoint, anytime from like April to May timeframe is probably the best time to think about that. So we can communicate it to the employees. They're aware of what it's going to be come July 1. But technically, if you want to make those changes, you can do them any time of the year.
And are there any penalties?
No, sir, none that I'm aware of. I mean, one thing that we will make certain it is compliant with state and federal law. Of course, we don't want you or us to be in violation of that. That's one of the benefits we have with MedCost is we're able to run it through their legal team, make certain that it's, there aren't any legal issues with making any changes like that.
I think that we'll take this information and think about it, council, and we're not going to rush into a vote today, and we're going to discuss this at our budget meeting on the 17th. If we have any questions in between that time, please send them to Tim, and he will get them to Rob or Angela if she's back, and so that for the 17th meeting, we can get those questions answered.
Rob and I talked about it too, if you can send me the questions, but I think we will, if Angela can come next week, have somebody here just to
For the
ask-
budget meeting.
For the budget
That would be
meeting.
great.
Just in case you think of, an in-person response. So.
Sure.
And then-
I know that we had, the employee group that got together. I just thought of this now. Would it be possible to keep that employee group active as we get into this, and they can actually say 2 or 3 months in?
You made an excellent suggestion there. That group is also by default the safety committee. So they will be, they are becoming
Okay.
active. So yes, they will be active, looking at safety, looking at
Ongoing.
insurance.
And
all.
that could fall into what Widener was talking about, that maybe there does need to be a tweak that they spot, and we can maybe make a change.
Great suggestion.
Okay.
Tim, for that meeting of the 17th, this 491,706 is the projected cost. I'd like to know what percentage that is benefits to salary. I'm a hardcore believer about the 2%, and if we start approaching that, I'd like to know what that number is, and
Total salaries.
yeah, and what it's going to cost us over the unpopular plan that we provided them this year. Those additional expenses.
I was going to get into a little bit of that right now. Rob, if you just want to sit down.
Thank you, Rob, very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Just a little bit, I was just going to, at the very last page there, in your insurance packet, just to kind of, I don't have the percentage of the salaries yet, but we'll have that by the 17th. Right now, if you look, should be a page that looks kind of like this.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Page 98.
Page, yeah, page 98.
Yeah.
But you guys might not have, there's correction to it, so I'm not sure if you have the correction.
It's online, if you pull that slide.
Okay.
But I think on the backside.
Right now, with our self-funded plan, if you look at that middle column there, where it says max cost, Med 700 and the difference, we're running about 93% of claims now, and, in the very beginning year, they present 86%. So actually, that 142,580 that's highlighted, if you back out technically, the league's about 30,000 more than our current plan, or 30,000 more than the least Tucker plan next year. We would save $102,000 if we experience the same level of claims now by just going to the league. So it takes out a lot of risk and that type of thing. Also, just to let you know,
And have better coverage. in
and better
network.
coverage. And the employee monthly cost, that last blue item down there, the employees are currently paying $21,540. This is for spouse, child, family. You know, at some point down the road, like next year, if the fees went up, you know, the council might consider doubling those fees, and that would, you know, take in $43,000 to offset an increase if there is an increase. The league's done a really good job, I think, in the last few years of trying to hold increases down. It's changed, they've changed the formula with participating towns, so the benefit is in being in a pool now, but if, you know, you're a good, if you have lower claims that year, you get the benefit from that. And so it's buffered by the pool some, but not totally buffered.
Yeah, so we're a governmental risk insurance pool, but with you all being in what's called a large group, if you truly have great claims year, you're gonna get the benefit of that, where the rest of our covered groups don't necessarily see that full benefit. But the nice side of it is, if you have a really horrendous claim year, because of the pooling, we're gonna cap your losses, so you're not gonna pay the full price of all your losses. That would be capped and shared with the pool.
So is workers' comp through the same organization?
Yes, it's through, it's through the league, but it's, the company is, the workers' comp provider. Is it?
Well, I apologize, well, we're self-insured, so, I mean, we got our own claim
Correct.
staff and underwriters, so, yes, everything's handled by us.
And right now, we have our dental, vision, short-term disability, everything else is with the league, except for health.
Property and liability as well, I assume.
Mhm.
So are there any discounts, since the town is with your workers' comp? Are there any discounts applicable to, with the insurance, health
Yeah.
insurance?
There is a package discount if you're both in property liability and workers' comp, so you're
We're already
currently
getting
getting that. Unfortunately, since health insurance is an entirely different animal, there is not a package discount for the health part.
All right. If there's no other questions on that, Rob, stick around for a little bit. And,
I can.
And just,
Is he gonna help us with the insurance broker administrator?
no, that's separate from the league. That's separate. So. All right. So.
Okay. Well, we've got the health insurance additional plan that you'd like to talk to us about, Tim?
Yes, and that's really a misnomer. It's basically a health insurance advocate. And what happens is the league can do all this, but one of those other two companies we looked at, they kind of work as a advocacy group. I'm talking about Parity Insurance. They're several companies, and they work with providers and med costs. For an additional $12,000 a year, they would actually, I think it's $18 a month for employees, or $18.51. I think it's in the proposal, yeah, $18.25. This is not something we have just to give employees an extra advocate. It would help our human resources person as well. It does throw more cost in there. I hadn't talked to the league about their opinion of this, but sometimes it's just another advocacy limb. So we just want to let you know that was a service out there. It could be beneficial as far as employees, if they have questions, just have one more person to go to. It's not required, and like I said, the league, have people on staff that help in this manner. We just wanted to present that.